So, UFC 288 is just around the corner, and this one is massive. We have 5 fights on this main card, 3 of which have massive divisional implications. I was actually just starting to film this very video when it came out that a late replacement was required for one fight in particular I was looking forward to, but I'll get to that shit show soon enough. Barring one fight, the other 4 pretty much have the fan base divided in terms of who's being picked, but there is some potential value here. As usual, you know where to find me on Twitter by now, links in the description. If you can throw up a like and subscribe, I love you long time. Let's go. So the first fight that's kicking off this card kind of came out of left field a little bit and takes place at featherweight. This one is intriguing with the return of Gracie, who's returning from a 4-year hiatus. Jourdain has shown a lot of promise throughout his UFC tenure, but has been a little inconsistent in trading wins for losses. He is actually coming off 2 defeats by decision to Nathaniel Wood and Shane Burgos, 2 of the better fighters in the division. The latter's now off to PFL, and it's not like he took a spanking in either of those fights. The loss to Arosa, however, is a little bit concerning, given the beatings that poor bastard has had as of late. He's looked fucking terrible. Jourdain is young though, and is an exciting and creative fighter, despite the losses, and at least he's really game. The big issue for me here is the difference in activity between the 2 men, and that's why I'm going to have to side with the Canadian in this one. Kron is a beast on the ground, as is the Gracie moniker, and his stand-up is quite respectable, but his takedown game is not elite, and I think Jourdain will have a massive advantage standing. As a result of the inactivity, I have to side with Jourdain in this. I think he'll be busier, and I think he's going to have the significant moments in a fight I believe is going to go the distance. Next up. So I was actually filming this one when I got the news that Mitchell had to pull out due to an undisclosed illness, which frankly just sucks. I actually thought the odds on this one were straight up disrespectful. Evloev is very overrated. Now don't get me wrong, this guy looks like a physical specimen, but he has a bad habit of making things close when they have no business being that way. Dawodu wobbled his ass multiple times. He had really dodgy moments against Nick Lentz, and Grundy isn't much to write home about either. The Ige win was very nice though, and maybe underlines why he was such a huge betting favourite. Anyway, instead, he takes on a late notice replacement in Diego Lopez, who lost to fucking Joe Anderson Brito in 2021 on the Contender Series. This has gone from a sneaky dogplay in Thug Nasty to a total layup for Movzar. I think Evloev is a little overhyped, but I think this one's going to be total domination. Nothing else to say really. What a fucking letdown. Not to shit on Bryce until we actually know what happened, so I'm going to put the knives away for now. Moving on. Great women's fight, and yeah, it does feel really strange to hear those very words come out of my mouth. I think Xiaonan is excellent. The Mariana Rodriguez loss was a borderline robbery. I thought she won that fight. She got absolutely destroyed by Esparza. Not the greatest look, especially as Esparza got a ground and pound finish in that one. But she is actually very good despite being involved in the worst title fight in MMA history. I actually blame Rose and Nancy Barry for that complete shit show, if I'm being honest. My issue with Yan is actually the Dern win. I think Dern is total smeg, and she's not especially hot either. I'm going there too. I picked Yan in that one anyway, and I was very surprised at the amount of people that went for Dern. Her takedowns suck and she can't strike. Andrade, on the other hand, did just get embarrassed by a small child in Blanchfield, but I just think she is far more suited to fighting at strawweight. She strikes like a man, and her takedown defense in this division and her power is far more scary and more intimidating as the bigger and more natural strawweight. I think this will be a fun one, but I'm picking Andrade to have the better moments here. She's the more likely to land a brutal finish, or have the more significant moments to carry her to what I think could possibly be a lopsided decision. Alright, this one's gonna hurt a little, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. Gilbert Burns is a better striker. His jiu-jitsu is so underrated, and let's just get this out of the way. He's just a much more likable person. My issue here in making this pick is the cardio in what is a 5-round fight. Burns has made the cut for the 3rd time already this year, and we only just got into May. If this was 3 rounds, I'd have no hesitation in picking Burns, but I expect this one to go to full 5. Despite how much a jarring wet wipe Borlau Muhammed is, his cardio is absolutely insane, and he's looked more and more impressive every fight I've seen him in. His jab's also become a weapon, and I think he's going to use it here to wear Burns down and apply constant pressure. I will probably come in my jocks on the spot if I get this one wrong, but I just feel for the reasons I've mentioned that the cardio is going to get him through this, and I'm going to reluctantly have to say I think it's going to be a 48-47 Bilal. First 2 rounds I think are going to go to Burns, and I think Bilal's going to frame out the final 3. I hope I'm wrong and that Burns beats the absolute brakes off him. I just think he's had too many cuts in a short time for a guy his age, and I worry his activity this year is actually going to work against him. Alright, this is another really divisive one. I just realized I used a really young photo for Cejudo here. He's not looking that fresh anymore. Anyway, I'm actually picking Aljo for a few simple reasons. He is absolutely massive for bantamweight, and as good as a wrestler as Henry is, I think he's going to struggle to get him down and keep him down. Aljo also carries a really strong submission threat on the ground, so I don't even like Henry's chances if he does manage to get him down. Most obviously, Aljo has been the far more active over the last few years, with Henry obviously coming back from retirement after 3 years off, losing his virginity finally and becoming a father. Additionally, Aljo has a significant reach advantage, and I think he's going to cause damage at range at the early stages of this fight, gaining Henry's respect. Finally, and most importantly though, I actually hit up Aljamain on Twitter recently, and he actually hoddered back and promised me personally that he was going to get this done for the whole MMA community. Henry is exceptional, and I honestly believe that if this fight was taking place when he'd been fully active, I would have probably sat this one out. It would have been way too close to call otherwise. They are both absolutely elite. However, for the reasons I've already gone through, I think Aljo is going to get this done in a fight that I think is going to go all 5 rounds. I'd also like to point out that I'm very biased against fighters that are represented by that smug, idiotic little shit stain. We know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I think this is a great fight. If Aljo wins, he's basically the greatest bantamweight to ever do it. If Henry wins, we get to hear him never shut the fuck up about it. I know what I'd prefer. Right, so this year I am carrying a record of 101 correct picks and 51 embarrassing failures. I'll be back as always to react to this card right after it happens. It's likely going to be in a 2-parter because of how massive the slate is. Have a great week to everyone, and thanks as always for listening. I'll see you in a few.